Hello and welcome to Season 4 of Travel Stories with Moush. So if you love the world around you and you love exploring different landscapes, cultures, cuisines and cities, then you are in the right place because in every episode of the podcast, I'll be talking to an incredible travel enthusiast who will take us on a fascinating journey around the world by sharing their travel stories. Before we jump onto today's episode, I just want to take a quick moment to say a huge thank you to all our audience who have supported us throughout. But there is also a huge number of you out there who listen to our podcast or watch it on YouTube, but who have not subscribed yet. So may I please request you to hit on that subscribe button because it really helps us to continue doing what we are doing and bring you these incredible travel stories from around the globe. Welcome to another episode of Travel Stories with Moush. Today, we're diving into the future of eco-friendly luxury travel with someone who's redefining the way we experience nature. Chris Nader, the co-founder of Envi Lodges. For those of you out there who have not heard about Envi Lodges yet, well, they have been touted as the ones to look out for in 2025 and beyond because they are setting a new standard for travelers who crave deep connections with the environment but without compromising on comfort. At Envi, sustainability is not just a feature, it is the foundation. And Chris, along with his partner Noel, is leading a movement where luxury and sustainability go hand in hand. Chris Nader, welcome to the podcast and thank you so much for joining us on Travel Stories with Moush.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
You know, we talk a lot about sustainable travel and we talk a lot about eco-friendly travel in the world today. It's almost becoming a buzzword. And you are in that space, you are kind of promoting all the Envi Lodges, saying that this is where sustainability meets comfort, luxury. But how are you creating that balance where, you are in the midst of nature, but at the same time, you are also promoting luxury?
It's a great question and it's a big one.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The cursor between sustainability and luxury moves a lot. There is a big gap between what people think they want from sustainability and what they're actually willing to experience at a property level.
Yeah.
So we are in a very tricky part where as a brand, we have an ambition to really drive change and be one of the leaders in our space. But at the same time, we have to find that balance between what is actually achievable without compromising too much. But I can tell you from now that we are not, unfortunately, able to achieve 100% of what we want to do.
It's hard.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
Not everything is in our control. So we have to have compromises here and there. We are today one of the better alternatives. There's not a perfect world, but in the general spectrum of tourism and travel, I think we are one of the better alternatives and we are showing the way.
Of course, you have Envi in different parts of the world now, like I said in my introduction, 2025 is the big year for you. Everyone's watching out what Envi is doing, which are the new properties they're coming up with, and you scout places around the world. But tell me now, if you had to take us on a journey, and which is also the first question of the podcast, where would you be taking us on a journey?
I'll take you on a beautiful adventure that I experienced, which, funny enough, I didn't know at that time, but it would have a big influence into my, my journey with Envi today. It's actually in Canada. On the east part of Canada, up north in Canada, in a fjord, which is basically when a glacier actually detaches and it creates a big hole. And part of the water that comes into that hole, it's a 100-kilometer stretch, comes from a Saguenay River, so it's fresh water. And then the other part comes from the Atlantic, so it's salty water.
So you're taking us to Canada, actually.
So it's the Saguenay Fjord. And that fjord, with a mix of water that comes there, makes it a perfect ecosystem for whales to come and reproduce. So basically, you're on a 2-people kayak.
Mm-hmm.
You start from journey A until you go down the fjord onto point B. And along the way, you see seals while you're kayaking. You see belugas, because this is a famous place for beluga.
Mm-hmm.
Around you, you have cliffs that are maybe 500 meter high. Very narrow fjord. The water is quite narrow, so you're kayaking between this gigantic kind of cliffs on the right and left. And suddenly you see the whales. You see them very close to you. You're kayaking, it's silent, and then suddenly you hear, which is like when the wave appears above water. They come really close to you. It's quite impressive. We spent 3 days in the wilderness of Canada.
But it's very narrow, right? So where are the whales appearing?
Relatively.
Okay.
It's still maybe 300, 400, 500 meters.
Okay, but still close.
But still very close. And then when you see the size of the cliffs, it feels quite narrow.
And
sometimes
these are belugas, you said.
We have beluga. I saw beluga whales. They have this gray and white kind of skin. And then the 3-day journey, you camp along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Only whatever you have on your kayak, this is what you live with.
Mm-hmm.
Your tent, your food. You have bears when you camp that come. You have to keep your food away from you for security reason. So it was really an amazing adventure that stuck in my head, and it showed me the beauty of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And Canada has some amazing landscapes, and this is really one of the most impressive one that I suggest people to go and see.
Mm-hmm. But did it just leave a very lasting impression for you? You perhaps went on that one journey, and coming back wanting for more. And again, like you said, you just kind of realized what nature can do to you. So what kind of a lasting impression did it leave on you?
I was 24. That was the first time I actually go and try to live in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm.
How to survive for 3 nights in the middle of nowhere. There's no light. You don't see anything. Just you, the tent, a couple of other guys with you. And being very close to these majestic animals in a very peaceful way,
mm-hmm.
in a very in harmony. And I think this is the first time that I realized that, to really experience nature, you cannot be between 4, concrete walls of a hotel, or be in a place that is extremely touristic and crowded.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the opportunity to go off the beaten path and be a little bit alone,
yeah.
You have some amazing dark skies there where you see the stars. There is a way to travel in harmony in nature. Yes, you don't have all the comfort,
mm-hmm.
but this is where you create lasting memories.
Mm-hmm. And creating memories, I think, is so very important, because those are your treasures when you travel. Creating these amazing memories that you do. Now, of course, like you said, Canada has some spectacular landscapes, and it's one of the most prettiest countries in the world. But if you had to pick one destination, and if you had to tell the listeners today that if you have to go to one place in your lifetime, which one would you say it should be?
Everyone must do a safari in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And
a safari anywhere in the world, or there is a particular safari that you recommend?
So there are several areas that you can do some amazing safari. But
mm-hmm.
recently I came back from the Serengeti in Tanzania, and it's quite spectacular, because you have this huge flat land that is endless. There is an abundance of animals and vegetation. You are between the local tribes, and you discover different cultures with the different nuances. And it's a journey, because first of all, to arrive into the Serengeti is a journey.
Mm-hmm.
You have to arrive in Tanzania, in Arusha. You have to spend the night. Then they pick you up, you change your airport, you fly to the closest airstrip to your camp. And that safari starts already upon pickup, because between the airport, the airstrip, and the camp, obviously you see wildlife. and then you spend several days there. I was lucky to actually witness a kill of a lion and a buffalo.
Oh, wow.
And when you just randomly find yourself, driving, and then suddenly this happens in front of your eyes, it's also, we're talking about memories. It's something that I will never forget. It's so powerful. Obviously, you're helpless, and you have to let nature do what they do, what it does, and what the animals do. But it's quite spectacular to see a kill and lions eating, etc. You're able actually to survive in the wilderness in a place that is extremely luxurious, comfortable. Most of the camps are quite comfortable and luxurious. You have your beautiful bathtub and shower and private plunge pool and some amazing food that gets cooked, to you. You have your dinners in the bush, where you set up this amazing table in the middle of nowhere. You're hearing lions at night while you're eating. There's a barbecue station, there's a bar, there's a portable toilet. And you're like, I am so lucky to be able to be here, experience this in a responsible manner, because obviously the food that you get is local. How you're cooking and cleaning and setting up everything is, temporary, and they take great care into making sure you don't leave any trace after that experience.
Which is very important.
And today, guests are looking at these details. They can see what you're doing and whether you're doing it properly or not. And all brands, all operators have to be very careful when they do this.
So, you saying that experiencing a safari once in your lifetime is very important. So it's not necessarily a destination, but it's the experience and what that experience does to you. So you're really, really promoting like a safari for everyone once in their lifetime, at least. Now, let's talk a little bit about Envi Lodges. And I know you're proud of most of your lodges. I know you have one which is fully functional at the moment in Serengeti. But obviously, the listeners out there, I'm sure, would want to know which is that one Envi experience that everybody should be looking out for.
We always try to identify one anchor experience on which we're going to develop the project. So this experience can be purely adventure. It can be more wellness, well-being focused, very strong anchor there. It can be about environmental stewardship, planting mangroves, trees, looking after, or it can be, for instance, agritourism. Agritourism is one of my favorites. We have an agritourism experience coming up in Saudi Arabia that we're opening this year. There is also a very interesting wellness lodge that we're opening this year in Zanzibar.
Okay.
And I think wellness for us obviously goes beyond the walls of what people think is a spa. It's the whole mindfulness behind it.
A holistic approach to wellness.
It's a full holistic approach. It's what you eat, how you sleep, how you energize yourself, how you disconnect. There's so much that goes into this. We're opening our second camp in the Serengeti as well on May 1st. So that's on the safari adventure side. So we'll have two camps where you can experience central Serengeti and northern Serengeti, two very different topographies. On the northern part, we have the Great Migration that passes through the camp, which is something quite amazing to see.
You spoke very little bit about local communities, and I want to ask you, what are you doing in order to promote cultural travel? How involved is the local community in the Envi experience?
We have an important mandate is to make sure that whether it's in the architecture, in the food, in the experiences, there is a strong link to those local tribes or local customs or the heritage of that location. For instance, in the Serengeti, where there is someone from the local tribe who's taking care of guests and telling them the story about, how they live, what do they eat, how long have they been here, and what experiences they've had in the wilderness and with the animals and all of that. The stories that you're able to hear from the locals, this is, again, goes back to the memories and to the experiences. this is what sticks in people's mind.
Yeah.
So whether it's a guide, whether it's a waiter that we hire that is able to interact with guests and tell them those stories is amazing. The second thing, obviously, is how to give back to those communities. We are, for instance, in Tanzania, supporting the local schools in the village around us. We hired 98% from Tanzania. Most of them are from, around the camp. Our food comes from the local farmers, so we work a lot with them, and we have to rely also on produce that is available there.
In this whole world of luxury and sustainability, which are the destinations or places in the world today you think are leading the way in luxury, eco-friendly travel?
Obviously, the first country that comes to mind is Costa Rica.
Yes.
The mecca of sustainability.
Yes.
They have just their way of living, which is amazing.
But of course, Costa Rica is leading the way. But which are the other destinations do you think could be the stars in the near future or follow the footsteps of Costa Rica?
In Africa, in East Africa and Southern Africa, you also have to give them credit because obviously from a conservation standpoint, all the effort that is being poured into preserving that wildlife, supporting the local communities, the projects that are opening in these destinations always support the local communities. Africa has many parts where you can see a lot of effort going into conservation.
Now, again, in the travel world, there are a lot of destinations that are, coming to the limelight, But in your experience, and because you're in the industry, which are the destinations you think are truly underrated and deserve more attention in the travel world?
Lebanon.
I agree.
I think it's a country that obviously is facing a lot of challenges, but from a tourism standpoint, the landscape that the country has, the hospitality of the people, the cuisines, and more this new generation is implementing so many sustainability initiatives in all the projects that are being developed, whether it's a bed and breakfast place, a guest house, certain restaurants in the farms, etc. Solar energy, water, farm to table, hiring local, eating local. There are a lot going on in terms of sustainability that people don't necessarily associate with the country. The country is known maybe for the party lifestyle of its people. But I think these remote areas in nature that are doing something quite unique really deserve more attention. And I hope with the changes now that the country is going through, that in the near future more and more tourists will come and experience it.
No, that's very well said, and I couldn't agree more, because I've been to Lebanon in the good times, and it's really sad to see what the country is going through now. But I didn't really explore the party side actually at the time when I went. What I did experience was the food, and the cultural places and the places with heritage. That's what I experienced the first time. Also, I was a new mom at the time, so I couldn't do the party scene. But to me, I think it was a great way to experience Lebanon for the first time, because that's when you know that, oh my God, this country has so much more than what meets the eye. Oh my God, this country has so much more than what people talk about. And one thing I came back with when I came back from Lebanon is, oh my God, the Lebanese people are so nice. Okay, so now we spoke about a few countries. We spoke a lot about Saudi Arabia, which, again, the new lodge in Saudi Arabia by Envi, I think that's going to be a real star. But let's also talk about what is your hidden gem.
This summer, I discovered, I experienced something quite unique to me. I'm a big foodie. This is the first time where I experienced a green Michelin star. So we went to the south of France and we went to a relais chateau that has a green Michelin star. What does it mean? It's a restaurant that, on top of having a Michelin star, is a leader when it comes to sustainable food. Right? So where they source the food, how they manage waste, how they support local farmers, etc. And I had this opportunity to go. It's called the Chateau de Berne, the Relais Chateau. And I had the opportunity to actually have dinner at the chef's table, which is actually not a table in the kitchen on the side, but it's actually on the counter where the chef is actually,
Serving you the food.
giving the orders and
Yeah.
sending the dishes back into the restaurant. So the two of us sat there and experienced, this green 7-course meal where every single ingredient in those 7 courses comes from neighboring farmers. And actually, they only work with meat that comes, that is raised in a certain manner, that comes from the local farmers, etc.
Yeah.
So they do a lot of screening into where all these produce
So it's all
come
free
from.
range and
Correct.
local.
All local.
And where in Provence is this?
It's called Chateau de Béarn.
Okay.
They have their winery. You can check it out as well. You buy wine there and sleep there. It's a beautiful place, a huge forest. You can do hikes. There's a big wellness component as well to that project. It's something quite
That's
nice.
fantastic. So, food is a big conversation on the podcast because I think people travel for food. You possibly travel for food, and there are a lot of people out there who travel for food. Which are the best places in the world for food, according to you?
Cape Town by far. I had a lot of great experiences in San Sebastian, in the Basque country of Spain, where it's the highest concentration of Michelin restaurant per capita.
Yes.
But Cape Town, without the whole Michelin, is able to, everywhere you go, you have amazing cuisine.
Couldn't agree more.
Presented in a beautiful way with amazing people. Obviously, for tourists, with the currency depreciation, it's also relatively affordable. And I think one of my best foodie trip was to Cape Town. Went to La Colombe, which is famous for its amazing and we went to other places in Franschhoek with the Food Barn and other places. In Stellenbosch, you go to places like De l'Airgraaf, the winery.
I love that we've been to the same places. De l'Airgraaf is an amazing experience, isn't it?
Amazing. With the arts that you see everywhere. You're sitting in nature, eating this amazing food. The hotel is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful. No, I mean, Cape Town is possibly one of the best destinations for food. I mean, somebody else has said the same thing on this podcast before, and it is truly a place for foodies. And everywhere that you get, whether it's doesn't matter if it's a Michelin star, it doesn't even need a Michelin star, because every place is just spectacular, and the scenery around, I mean, what more could you ask for, right? So let's go on to bucket lists now. So what's next on your bucket list? What are you waiting to explore? Which parts of the world are you wanting to explore? Tell us about that.
In order to add to my safari experience, so I tried South Africa, I did Tanzania. I really wanted to go and experience the Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe kind of area. And I'm lucky enough to actually be able to tick that bucket list next month.
I'm sure you'll be scouting for places for the next Envi property, for sure.
I always have my business hat on.
No, you must. And, I mean, what you're doing at Envi is truly commendable. I think it's commendable. I think we need more people like you in the industry today. And I think all of us should do something to make it work as far as sustainability is concerned, and it just shouldn't be a word out there that everyone's talking about. So thank you for that, and I wish you all the best, and I hope you have a fabulous trip to Botswana and Namibia and that entire journey that you're going on. So have a great time, and I am really looking forward to the launch of all the new properties in 2025. And I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Moush. I really enjoyed that conversation. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today. I hope our conversations have fueled your imagination and inspired you to explore the world in new and exciting ways. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until the next time, safe travels and keep adventuring.